I can see why Legendary was like, we don't know how to market this movie and who this movie is for. It is for trauma fans.
Winston became the Toxic Avenger. The first superhero born out of nuclear waste.
What did you see last night?
What is up, Drive-By Movies here, and you are watching
Fresh Releases.
My name is James.
My name is Blaise.
And after years, and I mean years of waiting, we have finally been able to check out Toxic Avenger unrated.
He's a different kind of hero. The Toxic Avenger is finally coming to your town. Show the fuck out.
The Toxic Avenger Unrated opens August 29th at theaters and drive-ins everywhere. Get tickets now at toxietix.com.
The Toxic Avenger is about a horrible toxic accident that transforms a downtrodden janitor, Winston Goose, into a new evolution of hero, the Toxic Avenger. So this is the long-awaited, as you mentioned, remake, reimagining of Troma Productions' Toxic Avenger. James, give us a scoop.
Yeah, so we've been looking forward to this movie for quite some time. Early in our shows, we were checking out like kind of movies that were being produced or starring Elijah Wood that were like relatively lesser known movies. Movies like Come to Daddy or Only God Forget, or actually that's the wrong name of the movie. No Man of God, that's the one I was thinking of. Just movies that he was involved in, and at the time, like he was working on this movie, The Toxic Avenger, and all that was out were just a couple images. I knew that Jacob Tremblay and Peter Dinklage was in it. I just kind of assumed Jacob Tremblay was going to play the high school kid and get bullied and then get thrown into a vat of, like, you know, chemical waste, and then Peter Dinklage was going to come out of Jacob Tremblay as the Toxic Avenger. I didn't realize that it was going to be a father-son story, so that was to my surprise, and I actually quite enjoyed that little storyline change from the original. But how does it fare up? Is it a needed remake, or I'd say it's fine and it's a different take, but I am still relatively disappointed in the movie overall. But it's still fun, though. What are your thoughts?
Now that Jacob Tremblay, like the film's finally come out, he's now a 30-year-old probably. So, like, I feel like there's so much time has passed. I was even surprised seeing him on screen and then realized, like, oh, he's probably like way older now. Like, he's definitely not a child actor anymore. But yeah, I think we were both under the impression that that was always going to be the storyline from whenever this film was announced, whether it was 2018 or previously. I feel like I remember this being announced a long time ago. So yeah, it was a big deal that Macon Blair had gotten the sign off to be the director for this film. I always thought it was kind of a radical choice. I really do appreciate and enjoy it. I really enjoyed his first film. I don't feel at home in this world anymore. So I wanted to see his interpretation of a Toxic Avenger remake, and we got it. I think that he made a lot of interesting creative choices for this remake, but I feel like he also made a lot of choices that seem like they were just being made to make sure that this wasn't exactly like the original film, whether it's the father and son story between our two leads, or the different interpretation of how kind of Toxie is represented, really. I feel like he's very different in this film versus the original. I feel like this is more of a splatterpunk movie even than the original Toxic Avenger. Like, I'm aware that the original one can be deemed that, but I feel like this really escalated, like, you know, the punk aspect of splatterpunk. And I liked a lot of those aspects, especially I thought the gore was cool. But really, I felt like this movie fell flat, and I don't know if that's because it took so long for it to get released that the hype kind of wore it off for me, and then kind of reinforced, like, okay, maybe it wasn't that this movie was so outlandish, and that's not why it got picked up, or the MPA didn't want to rate it, and that's not why it got picked up. It's probably that it just honestly wasn't that good.
Yeah, honestly, and just like things that I expected more from, just like because Macon Blair, when he was announced as the director, he was still relatively a new coming director. We mainly knew him just from acting, but we trusted him just because of his first film. And I thought like, oh, you know, he probably definitely gets the source material. And I think it shows in this movie. He definitely gets it. He doesn't change too much, but just like, yeah, this movie just felt a little uneven and like the editing was weird. I'm not sure if a lot was changed, possibly just because this movie's been able to view at film festivals for the last like 2 years. I swear it was at Beyond Festival back in like 2023, if I'm not mistaken. And then even last year, might have played at a couple of festivals, and then finally we're just barely getting it. But you know, after his first feature film, that movie wasn't gory, but there was a lot of shock value to it just because of how crazy and wild the characters were. And Elijah Wood is a great example. Again, just like, I don't know what's up with all the getup. I thought he was going to be some brutal villain that was super creepy just from the images we got of him. I was like, oh, what's his story? Why does he look like Danny DeVito's Penguin? But overall, it's just something they just did for fun, and he ends up being kind of the nicer villain out of the bunch. And there's multiple villains within this movie. I thought all they really needed was just Kevin Bacon as the main villain, but then there's also a guy who's running the show past Kevin Bacon, and all he really does is just have extra henchmen for Toxie to fight in the movie. I felt like that could have just been cut out for the most part too. Like, yeah, there were certain aspects in the story that like came from that character, but I'm sure with some better work in the scripts, like that could have been solved a little bit easier. So for a really short movie, this just kind of felt bloated. And one thing I also wanted to bring up is just the movie in the title card, they added unrated to Toxic Avenger. There's no way that was in the original title of the movie. That had to have been added with its purchase by whoever got this. I forget, like Screenbox or something. I could be wrong on that, but I know
Cineverse and Cineverse, and then I think it's a Screenbox original. I'm assuming. I think that's a Shudder streaming service, correct?
Okay, yeah, makes sense. But yeah, I assume with that acquisition, that's when they added the unrated to the title card. But just this movie feels very tame. This movie easily could have just been a normal rated R. But I can see why Legendary was like, we don't know how to market this movie and who this movie is for. It is for Troma fans first and foremost, but I just felt like I was a little bummed that this movie didn't try to win any new fans, I feel like, but also just didn't really do anything to satisfy a lot of hardcore Troma fans too. It's just kind of weird in the middle, enjoyable movie, but just like lacks the bite, I'd say.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I did enjoy this movie watching it, but just thinking about it after the fact, I'm like, a lot of stuff isn't really adding up. I think there's a lot of problems with the marketing in the movie, like you mentioned. The fact they slapped on unrated. It feels like they were constantly meddling on how to make this movie a success, that when it ended up being an inevitable failure, it just feels like you can look at those things more and be like, I don't think that this was really the right choice. I think you guys were meddling way too much with the marketing, whether it's, coming out in front of it and saying, oh, Peter Dinklage isn't actually in the suit. Okay, so be it. But I feel like they just made it to be so much more of a issue. And now it's in the back of my head. I'm like, dude, Peter Dinklage was on set for like a week, if that, it feels like, and then he just phoned the whole thing in when it comes to it honestly reminded me of, do you remember when Peter Dinklage was the voice of that like ghost character in the Destiny video game, and they literally patched him out of the game because he was so bad he phoned it in. They patched him out of the game 5 years later. Yeah, he originally was like, this is around his height of stardom when he was in Game of Thrones. And he was like, it was a big deal that he was going to be in this video game. And his performance was so bad, they literally patched him out. I think a couple years later, when they redid the game, they got the best video game voice actor to do that character, which I don't even think really added that much more to that character. I think the problem was probably the direction. But it just felt like all the publicity we saw with Peter Dinklage at Comic-Con or anything, it just seemed like he didn't even want to be there, really, because it took so long for this film to finally come out, that it just kind of probably puts a bad taste in your mouth as an actor. So no shade to Peter Dinklage, but I think that, yeah, like maybe he wasn't the right choice for this movie. I don't think he really added anything to this movie that we wouldn't have gotten. I think honestly, it just, for me, another thing was like a lot of the comedy in the original Toxic Avenger comes from that voice. Like the Toxie's voice is just so funny. Like it's like a narrator-esque voice that was originally, you know, the geeky nerdy guy has like most annoying nails on a chalkboard voice, and then he turns into Toxic Avenger. He has like this awesome baritone voice that's just like angelic almost. It seems like we made a choice to not do that on purpose, like to not be like the original Toxic Avenger, but I just don't think it added anything to the movie, really.
Right, yeah, there's a lot of things that just like that was a choice. Going back to like even the band in the movie, like they're like I don't know, they're like a post-hardcore with some metal influences band, but some of them are dressed like juggalos, some of them are dressed like members of Limp Bizkit, some members are just like normal punk rock goth people. I was just like, what is this band, and why are they only performing to 20 people spread out in the middle of like the town square park or whatever? That like cracked me up, but I knew that was just like a low budget incident, that I was just like, oh, you couldn't get more extras or use bad CGI to make it look more crowded. You couldn't get a couple fake security guards and a mini fence in front of the stage to make it look a little more legit, because nobody just performs with just like nobody in front of them, unless it's like just a hardcore do-it-yourself warehouse venue or something. So stuff like that kind of took me out. And, you know, I'm not supposed to take this movie seriously, but just like, you know, Legendary was back in this movie, and just like, you know, we have a fun cast, a director that I trusted, and I'm just like, I really thought this movie was going to come together. And I saw it with a pretty packed audience too, and I was just like, this is the way I'm supposed to see a packed audience. Everyone's going to be dying laughing. Guys next to me, even though they were annoying and talking during the whole trailers, they were quiet during the movie. They were wearing Toxic Avenger shirts, but like, there's just a silent screening. I felt like I was laughing the hardest, but I didn't even laugh that much throughout the movie too. So, you know, like, I feel like I'm just trying to defend this movie because I love what this movie represents and what it was trying to do. And I'd love to see more movies like this. It's just bummer of a missed opportunity.
I think ultimately the real issue is that a lot of the charm from the original Toxic Avenger comes from it being a bad B movie. And when you redo that and you're like, we're going to actually make this a good movie, it's almost too tongue-in-cheek of like, oh, this is a good movie, like winking at the audience, like, look how good the effects are, look at how awesome some of these kill scenes, and look at how the makeup is incredible. You know, the makeup in this movie was honestly incredible, and you look at that original makeup throughout the Toxic Avenger, especially in Toxie's transformation, and it's like, it's bad, but it has a special charm to it that makes it. Yeah, but some of that charm from the original, it just doesn't translate when you put polish on everything. And this film ultimately can't be as funny because everything is done, you know, very serious. There are some good jokes here throughout the movie, but I will say the original just has that little like B-movie charm that it can't really be replicated in this day and age. I feel like honestly it's hard for movies to recreate that. Like the last movie we got that has that B-movie charm that I can remember is something like, you know, The Room or something like that, where it's just so bad, like the person making it believes in it, but it ends up being a horrible product.
Yeah, and just, you know, Tommy Wiseau is still a filmmaker also that is, for the most part, still working today and making bad movies on purpose and stuff, too. I think that, like, yeah, that part of this was just, like, just trying to be bad, but also trying to be serious at the same time. It felt, you can just feel that just, like, there was a lot of clash in between just, like, what this movie was supposed to be. And just like the parts where it works really do work, but the parts that don't work just really don't work, unfortunately. But yeah, like, you know, I just wish like we could get the same team, the same cast. I love literally all the pieces that were made to finish this puzzle, but just like, it's like getting just like, oh, okay, like the quality on the puzzle though just didn't end up coming out to be what I expected. Like it was a fun journey, but just you're just like, okay, that's it. So yeah, that's kind of like overall thoughts on the movie. Like, you know, like it's worth your time if you're a trauma fan. If you're not into these style of movies, I don't think it's gonna really do it for you though. Like even if you're a gore or a horror person, or if you like bad movies, like maybe it'll do it for you. But this movie feels like people who enjoy movies like Velocipaster or Sloth or House or something, like just those kind of movies, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely. I have to say, yeah, like this film, I enjoyed it, but it kind of has, I wouldn't say that those films even have charm, because they're definitely entering, like making something bad on purpose for it to find its audience, where this was kind of doing, like had a little hint of that, but it never felt bad. Like it never felt bad enough to be doing that. It felt like they were trying to make a good movie, but they didn't have that charm that just isn't something that you can recreate. Like the original, some of those original trauma movies are horrible. And then some of those original trauma movies have that charm that is not recreatable. It's not something that you can recreate. So is the Toxic Avenger a necessary remake of Toxic Avenger? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because overall this review is us kind of trash talking the movie, but it's a hard movie to recommend, unfortunately. So, I guess I just want to keep the discussion open. What are you loving about this movie, or what are you disappointed about this movie? Let us know in the comments below. A great way to help support the show. Rent it through our Amazon affiliate link, or also just talk to us about it in the comments down below.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And speaking of updates, catch all our social media links down below. We got Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, also our own personal letterbox accounts. That's it for this week. Tune in next week for a brand new video.